Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're going to get started. All righty. How are you guys? Good. Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Women Connect on Leadership. I am Sherelle Palmer, a local business owner in Forsyth County and a board member of the Forsyth County Chamber. On behalf of the Chamber, thank you all for joining us today. The Forsyth County Chamber serves as the voice of the business community, championing a strong economic environment and a superior quality of life in Forsyth County. In June, we launched One Forsyth, an initiative formed to position and foster Forsyth County as an inclusive, thriving community for all. This initiative celebrates differences and champions inclusive prosperity for all in Forsyth County. We accomplish this by recognizing various dimensions of diversity within our community, knowing that by embracing them, we amplify our collective voice and leverage our strengths. Additionally, we also launched our Women Connect series that highlights and supports Forsyth County women business leaders. Today's program is focused on leadership, and we are excited to have a panel of strong community leaders joining us today. Before we get started with our program, I want to recognize and thank the businesses making today's event possible for those of us here in the conference room and everyone online. Our gold sponsor is Eclipse Networks, Row House Coming. Go ahead. Absolutely. Row House Coming has sponsored our beverage station. Our beautiful stage is sponsored by CBRE. And the dessert you guys will enjoy on your way out was sponsored by Pop Bar Alpharetta. Our title sponsor is Northeast Georgia Health Systems. Absolutely. Northeast Georgia Health System is a not-for-profit community health system dedicated to improving the health and quality of life of the people in Northeast Georgia. Through the services of a medical staff of more than 800 physicians, the residents of Northeast Georgia enjoy access to the state's finest and most comprehensive medical services. It is their mission to improve the health of our community in all they do. Let's learn just a little bit more about this local care provider.
At this hospital in Jacksonville, Florida, cases rose by more than 40% in just one day, breaking its previous record back in January.
It was just insane to go from having one COVID patient to having all COVID patients again.
And just in the last week, new COVID infections up 47%. The CDC warning this is now a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
The average age of a COVID patient inside the hospital right now is 40 years old.
I thought the vaccine was a hoax.
I regretted not getting the COVID vaccination.
The Delta variant has already caused surges in other states, and it's here in Georgia now.
We are already seeing positive test results on the rise, just as we did before each of our 3 previous surges.
We all remember how it felt during those surges to have to shelter at home, to have our schools, businesses, and restaurants closed, and to miss our families and friends.
No one wants to return to that isolation and worry. Thankfully, we have a way to stop it now.
If you've been waiting to get the COVID vaccine, now is the time to get it.
The teams that developed the shot included a diverse mix of leading scientific minds, and the vaccine has been given to individuals of all ethnicities, races, and backgrounds.
We assure you, it is safe for almost everyone. More than 3.7 billion doses have been administered so far.
Unfortunately, more than half of our state still isn't vaccinated, and that leaves all of us vulnerable.
The vaccine is the weapon we didn't have in the fight before.
A lot of people have asked us, what can we do to help healthcare workers?
This is what you can do. Get vaccinated.
Get vaccinated.
you can get vaccinated. If not for you, if not for us, do it for the ones you love.
Let's unite and break the cycle of COVID for everyone.
Please join me in thanking Northeast Georgia Health Systems and all of the sponsors for their support of today's event. Of course, this happens to me up here, y'all. Y'all just bear with me just a moment. And I practiced this before today, and I told him, I said, this is, got it. Our program moderator for today is Dr. Malika Reed Wilkins. Dr. Wilkins is the Senior Director of the Atlanta Regional Commission's Center for Strategic Relations. She also heads the agency's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion program. She leads staff in the areas of local government affairs, corporate and community engagement, marketing and communications, and public relations. Prior to onboarding with the ARC, she served the state of Georgia in various executive level roles with the State Road and Tollway Authority, Georgia Regional Transportation Authority, Georgia Commute Options, and the Georgia Department of Human Services. Malika resides in Atlanta with her husband, Anthony, and daughter, Malia. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Malika Reed Wilkins to the stage.
He's doing my lavalier, or, oh, it sounds like he is. Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, y'all look wonderful. Y'all look amazing. This feels so good. Thank you all for being here. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here, and welcome to the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce's Women Connect on Leadership. I really am, I don't know if y'all can see it, but I really am excited to be here and thrilled to be moderating this event today for women, by women. So shout out to Cherry Street Brewing for your delicious lunch today, as well as Pop Bar, Alpharetta, for the great dessert you'll have later. But today, when I think about leadership, wow, that's a loaded word. And it can mean so many things to so many people. But today I'm going to add an adjective to the word leadership, and that's servant. Yeah, servant leadership. Oprah once said, when you choose the paradigm of service, looking at life through that paradigm, it turns everything you do from a job into a gift. I truly believe this because I've really been serving literally all of my life. And if you have a heart of service, the work we do day in and day out becomes this wonderful gift for the people all around us. Speaking of gifts, I want to thank Chairwoman Cindy Jones-Mills for her vision to bring all of you and these vivacious women together to talk about their leadership and, yes, the issues that women face in leadership roles and how they overcome them, because there are some issues, and we know that. We are also blessed with a few gifts here today. There are about 80 young women here today from 8 Forsyth County high schools, ready to learn about leadership. So if you don't mind, we want you to stand up or just do like this. They're all here. Thank you all for being here today. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but thank you all for being here. It's important for us all to sow seeds into our pipeline of women leaders, and we're grateful that Commissioner Mills and the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce had the foresight to invite these wonderful ladies here today. Now, I know you all are at the edge of your seat and ready to hear from these leaders. They all have extremely impressive backgrounds, so we're going to dive right in, and again, you can read their bios in your program. Imagine this: 4 dynamic women representing over 2 million residents in the Atlanta region. 2 million, where you're looking at them. Please help me welcome to the stage Chairwoman Nicole Hendrickson of Gwinnett County, Chairwoman Lisa Cupid of Cobb County, Chairwoman Carlotta Harrell of Henry County, and Chairwoman Cindy Jones Mills of Forsyth County. Welcome, ladies. Let's give them another round of applause. We all so excited. This is awesome. And let's just dive right in. You know, we have a lot to talk about today. And so I want to just dive right into some of the questions that we came up with for our lovely panelists. And let me get that out, please. And we'll go from here. The first one, I would say, ladies, is a long question, but I'm going to read it in its entirety because it really puts you in the mindset of all of the things you all have to think about day in and day out in your roles. And I think it's important for you all to understand all the things they have to think about day in and even into the weekends. So much of your job as a commission chair is mitigating and finding solutions to issues concerning a myriad of disciplines. You must become a quick study in so many areas to include engineering, land planning, water, sewer, litter control, transportation, zoning, property rights, freedom of religion right laws, ordinances, libraries, memorandums of understanding, public safety, right-of-way purchasing, housing practices, regionalism, finance, the courts, economic development, development authorities, land banks, landfills, mental health, mediation, negotiations, addiction, healthcare, senior services, health, wellness, park and recreation, animal shelters, dog parks, fire stations, emergency management, social services, and the list goes on.
And we have to make everyone happy.
Exactly, to put a bow on it. So, with that loaded question, what past experience you believe has prepared you for this role? And or what areas would you like to engage in now that can make a difference in the lives of your constituents? We'll start with Chairwoman Cupid.
Certainly, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so grateful for the chairwoman for having us here. I started out as a commissioner with Cindy, and I know her as that, but I want to pay her all the respect due and just appreciate her bringing all of us together. I have quite a varied background, if anyone were to read my bio. Professionally, I started out as a mechanical engineer. I went to Georgia Tech, and I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and so I thought I was going to work on cars. And I didn't realize that it was the experience that preceded that was going to launch the things that I would do as an engineer and the path that I pursued afterwards, because I was very involved as a student leader. I'm someone who ended up being president of my 5th grade class. I was always active in something. Middle school was like 2 roads diverged. I could have gone either to the right path or the wrong path, but I got it together in high school. And I became president of my senior class. And at Georgia Tech, I was very involved as a student leader. So even when I was involved or got into engineering, I was asked to become a supervisor and to enroll in a leadership program. And it was during that time that I had a supervisor ask me if I ever considered public service. And I thought, well, I volunteered as a student at Georgia Tech. I could see why you would ask me that. But he said, well, from this assessment that we've given you, you're showing that you have very high marks in this arena. And that just planted a seed for me to think about running for office. I didn't do it immediately. I graduated from Georgia Tech in 2000, and it wasn't until 2012 that I ran for office. So I've had quite a varied background, but I can think everything that I've gone through, everything as an engineer. I became a policy analyst. I worked in nonprofit development of affordable housing everything has helped me with what I do today. Any experience. Don't tell anybody you can only do one thing because of your experience, because it's not even just the degree that you have, it's the character that you're building. Because even when I would look at my experiences, I've always gone through challenges and had to overcome it. My family's not from this country, so overcoming it as a first-generation American in life, I think has helped prepare me how to handle hardship. It's helped me to be bold and to still step up and know whatever excuse I had of things going on in school, my parents always expected my sisters and I to perform. And I just got used to always striving to perform. So just if you're going through difficult times, high school is a great breeding ground, especially if you're in public school, because kids come from all backgrounds in life in public school. But when you're in elected office, you're dealing with the public. And so any challenges that you have, opportunities you have in that environment, is preparing you to do just what we're doing today. So don't let anybody tell you what you can or you can't do based off of what they may see on paper, because it's what you're developing in your heart that's going to create the best leader that you can be, irrespective of the environment that you're in. Thank you.
So, like Lisa, my background, I have always been involved in public service. I come from a family where my father was a pastor. So being the daughter of a pastor, it was always about helping others. And in my adult life, you know, I decided that I was going to go into law enforcement, retired from law enforcement after 20 years. But I continued to work in government. And I think that those roles helped prepare me for the position that I'm in today. I mean, it's all about being a servant leader. To be in public office, you are here to serve the citizens of your county and to attend to the needs of the county. And so, growing up, we were always very involved and very engaged in the community, what was going on and helping others. And I think that that kind of prepared me for the role of chair. You know, being in law enforcement, I understand public safety probably better than, you know, a lot of people, because I've actually served in public safety. And so knowing the needs that, you know, our departments, the challenges that they face today as compared to when I was in law enforcement, they are dealing with so many different other things. And so, you know, what I would encourage the young ladies to do is to just make sure that you're engaged in what's going on in your community. Become involved in what's going on in your school. And if you decide at whether it's in the political arena or whether you decide to go in business, it prepares you to deal with a very diverse, deal with diversity, as well as being able to handle various situations. And so, you know, I am just excited to be here. Thank you, Cindy, for putting this together.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I would say, first, before I begin, I want to thank Cindy for having the vision to host something like this in the Forsyth County Chamber of Commerce. When I look out at the sea of young ladies, I am so incredibly proud. When I was your age and when I was sitting where you were, we didn't have leaders that looked like us, that we could come to a forum like this and see women and aspire to be what we see. And many times when you're growing up, and at least for me, women in different professions were always, it was teachers and nurses and people in a helping profession. We didn't see other women of power in powerful positions and in leadership positions. And so it's humbling for me to be on this stage talking to young women and women in general, because I know that hasn't always been the norm, and it's still not the norm. We're always the exception to the rule. But I come from very humble beginnings, and those who have learned my journey know that I grew up to a single-parent household. I grew up in a single-parent household. I grew up on public assistance. I was precariously housed as well as food insecure, and so that alone made me want to excel beyond my circumstances. I knew I did not want to end up in a similar situation as my parents, and I wanted to continue to be drawn to help others come out of that situation that I had experienced as a young girl. And even in high school, I can remember my counselor encouraging me to go to beauty school. Yeah, and I wanted to own my own daycare center. You know, I had ambitions, and it's a good thing that I did not listen to my guidance counselor. And that is some of the systemic barriers that young women, women in poverty, and women of color face. You are not encouraged to go into higher roles, to excel, and to go into leadership positions. But I was in my degree, I went to the University of Rhode Island and got my degree in human development and psychology. I later went to earn my master's degree in social work because I was just drawn to the helping profession. I was always drawn to social policy. I was always drawn to wanting to address systemic issues. I was always drawn to want to help people or help my community and help those facing challenges and systemic barriers overcome those barriers. And lo and behold, I ended up in Georgia, went to the University of Georgia, and that's what brought me down here, go Dogs. And never would I thought that I would be an elected official, but when the opportunity presented itself, a lot of those around me and my advisor said, you know, we don't need an everyday politician. We need a servant leader. We need somebody who has compassion, somebody who has lived experiences, somebody who understands the voice and can represent the values of the people. And I said, well, then that's my calling, and that's my path, and that's my journey, and I'm gonna go for it. And that's why I'm sitting here today. And I believe that those experiences have helped shape the direction and how I lead. And you don't have to have experience in everything that she listed. I mean, that's animal right. Welfare, I know nothing about animals, nothing whatsoever. However, being a leader is about having vision.
Yes.
It's about having vision. And when you're in the right place at the right time and you execute your vision, you will be successful. And you just have to believe in yourself. So.
I want to thank Valerie, Dr. Lowe. Actually, no, that I said the name wrong again. I'm just saying Valerie, for organizing this today and for bringing these kids here, because I wanted to do something. We've been on sort of a little circuit together since the new chairs were elected, because it's the first time in this year that there were 4 women that were elected to be chairwomen of Metro Atlanta counties. That's growing up here in Forsyth County. I never thought as a young person that we would be Metro Atlanta, or I would be sitting up here on stage saying we're part of. But coming into ARC, I'm a believer that all things, the timing, it's in God's hands, and all timing is perfect. And I think having that and being a part of ARC and us coming into ARC and working together and not just looking, when you deal with so many of these issues, you can easily become overwhelmed, or you can easily start thinking of issues in a box instead of as a region or and when you're dealing with transportation cost, like a road, I mean, how are people going to get to Forsyth County without going through other counties? Exactly. I laugh, but I wasn't laughing when I heard a fellow, not my fellow commissioner, but a commissioner from decades ago. I was at a zoning meeting. I sold real estate before I got into this office, and I also had some business experience with having my own company and working for another company. But when I was at a zoning meeting, and there was a developer that wanted to build a a parkway, a 4-lane road that would have, connected to Gwinnett. It would have been a wonderful thing. And I remembered a commissioner that represented the south end of the county sitting there saying, if we take that from Ryland Homes, if we accept that, people from other counties will drive on that road. And I was like, yeah, don't we drive on their roads too? And it is about vision. I think that if you've got to have a vision, and there's rules and more rules of things you need to do and stick by, and land plans, and DCA and every acronym agency that's out there that gives you all kinds of guidance and advice. But when it comes down to the end of the day and you're about to push that button, you've got to know in your heart that you've done your homework. I will say ladies have to do more homework.
Yes.
But that you know what you're talking about, and that you know you're making an educated decision. But a decision is based not just on the laws or the layers of bureaucracy, but it's also about your moral compass, the ethics and things that guide your own life. And at the same time, it is, with politics, it can get so ugly and so nasty in such a hurry, and the more political people are, the nastier it becomes. Yes. And so you just have to be grounded in who you are. Amen. And what you believe. And because there'll be all kinds of things that will try to get your eye off the prize, get your eye off of, that sounded like a kickback. That's not the prize I'm talking about. That wasn't the prize I was going for. But yet you've got to have your vision, and a crystal clear vision. And if you don't, you're going to be, every wind that comes, and they come constantly in every issue, you're going to lose sight of what your direction is and why you ran for office to begin with, or why you became a nurse to begin with, or why you become a teacher. And if you let the things of the outside start occupying and controlling, and things that other people's decisions and other ugliness that might come in, but if you let them get your vision cloudy, then you lose why you're here to begin with, why you're in that occupation, why you're doing this. And it's so important that you do have a vision. And I think it is so important in this role that you have a servant's heart, because the people we hear from so much are not the people that need us the most, because they think their voice has been extinguished. They feel like they don't have any right that they don't earn enough money to have a right to speak up, or that they're an addict and they should not, they made poor decisions and they should not have a voice, or the mentally ill. You're not going to hear from those people as much as you are the people that live in a neighborhood that's lives are just going to be shattered if another neighborhood comes in. We can be making an expenditure on a wastewater treatment plant and spending $40 million in one vote and not get one call. But by gosh, you have a variance that might be 5 feet from somebody else, or 5, and you might have 150, 200 people with red shirts on that are going to be in the crowd telling you, you're bound for hell if you vote for this. I mean, it is like a flat, there's no gray, there's no laws, there's no anything. It's, we got the numbers and you better do what I say. And so I find that to be probably one of the most challenging things, is finding the balance and helping those that are not asking. And I think that a lot of that is not taught enough by ACCG and NACO and other people, that those are the things people think, because they might be from a poorer county, that they can't do anything for mental health, they can't do anything for drug addiction, they can't do anything. They can. You don't have to have the money to do it. You've got to have a vision, and you got to have a servant's heart.
Wow, that's great. We can go home now, right? This is awesome. And what of course, having a vision, but the reason I read all of those different items on this question too is echoing what you all are saying, is that you don't have to be an expert in all of that. If you have a servant's heart and it's in the right place with a vision, you can really do anything. And so, but through a lot of your responses, we do know that, there are some differences in the workplace. with men and women. Traditionally, historically, I mean, the data shows it, so I'm not saying anything that's not out there. In some of the research studies, we know that there's a pay gap. We know that there are limited number of women in the C-suite or in higher elected positions. And so whether in your role of commission chair or throughout your professional career, have you seen, and all of you can answer, or one or two of you, doesn't matter, but have you seen a difference in the treatment of women or females versus male counterparts? And what advice would you give to women and young women entering the arena of public office or business today, knowing those differences exist?
My first advice, you need to toughen up. You better have a tough hide to enter this world, because if you come in with your feelings hanging off your shoulders and it's going to get bumped, you're going to be beaten and bruised within the first week. And if people see that you are weak, they're going to take full advantage of your weakness. I mean, in order to get things done for your district or get things done for your county or for your state, you got to be a go-getter. It's no place for the idle. I mean, that's why the vision's so important. And I'm looking out at our law enforcement that's here today, and I'm so grateful that they're here. But I'm thinking, yes, and I can't imagine what they see and hear in their field. Because I know that just in my role, especially when it becomes to the social media world of bullying, I'll just give a quick example. I've been dealing with a guy that wrote on social media, and facts never got in his way whatsoever. And he wanted to come meet with me, and we had a pleasant conversation. It was about a zoning coming in next to him. I'll meet with anybody. And I should have had a person there with me, because what got told from the story, you know, what got written on Facebook was not my recollection of what happened in the meeting. But he immediately after he was kind and nice to me in the meeting, because people are way bolder behind their keyboard. There's a different side of people behind the keyboard than face to face. That's another thing, make people talk to you. But when we finished the meeting, he must have from his car put up a post, and I'm not friends with him, but he put up a post, it went everywhere, that a Korean study that fat women are slow thinkers. And it was, I'm still heavy, but I've currently lost a good bit of weight, but it probably won't stay, and it'll probably find me again. But he would not have done that to a man. He would not have. I have had people written. I went down to the Andrew Young School when Carolyn Bordeaux was leading that class. I didn't even make the connection until after she got in office that she was the person that was doing it. But she had us sit with graduate students. And when I was telling them some of the things I have been through over zoning decisions, the ethics violations that were hurled at me that were just absolutely ridiculous. One was for getting up during a planning commission meeting and going to the bathroom. I kid you not. It wasn't even my meeting. But they brought in ethics, and each of our counties has different ethics codes. And ours, you don't have to have any justification. You can bring it, and then you go to a panel, which costs taxpayers a lot of money. Lawyers are the only people that benefit. But it was literally, those were things I wasn't prepared. I mean, I was prepared. God had me prepared. I went through a 3-year divorce, and if you can go through a 3-year divorce, by God, hit me with your best shot. I mean, right. If you can do that, you can pretty much, you know, I've had people hurl things at me, and I've been like, there we go. I've been through worse. I've been through worse.
Thank you, Chairwoman Mills. Anyone else?
Yeah, and I'll echo that. As women, we do face a different set of experiences than our male counterparts, and women are held to a higher standard as well. We're not allowed to make mistakes. We have to go above and beyond to prove our worth every single time. We have to prove why we're in our roles. We have to substantiate why we're in our positions. So it's a constant battle to just prove why you are where you are. And our male counterparts don't have to experience the same thing. And we're always told as women, take the high road, kill them with kindness, smile. We're told to dress a certain way. We're told to look a certain way. And they downplay our competence and our education, our background, our experience, and it's really an unfair situation to be in, but what I've learned to do is to really lead with my experience and my body of work and the successes, and focus on the things that I've done well, my accomplishments. And when you lead with that, you tend to gain the respect. And it's constantly, you have to constantly lead with your value and what the proposition is and what you bring to the table. And we all have something that we can bring to the table. And we are all here because voters, 2 million, you said? I would say 1 million of them is in my county.
Yes, they are.
Said that we belonged in these seats, that we belong here. Yes, they voted for us to be here. So there was something about us where the citizens said, we want you to lead us. And we don't carry that lightly. We carry that with the utmost respect because we know that we've earned our right to be here. We did not get here because of the way we look or because somebody, put us in this position. We worked to get to where we are, and we've earned every bit of our seat at this table.
And I would just like to say, I echo what Nicole and Cindy both say. I chose roles that are mostly male-oriented. Going into law enforcement at the age of 20 back in the 1980s, I had male officers that told me that women shouldn't be in law enforcement. And then especially being a woman of color. I was the first female lieutenant that was promoted in Henry County back during the time when I was policing. And they made things so difficult in that role, but it just made me stronger. Mm-hmm. It made me want to prove them wrong. And even in politics, you have male egos that think that women don't belong in politics, that women are soft, that if we're kind, then we're soft. If we're harsh, then we are bossy. So
we know, riding on a broomstick.
So it's like it's like a balancing act of, you're trying to serve your constituents in your community. And, I think that I'm just as qualified as any male to sit in this position, in this role. And apparently, most of the voters in Henry County thought the same thing. That's right. And so I think a lot of times we as women, get a bad rap just because we are women. But what I do want to say is that, stand strong, stand firm, and don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't do anything. Prove them wrong and prove that you are capable of being whatever you want to be. Yes. And that's one of the things that I want to encourage to the young women out here today, is that don't let people get in your ear and tell you that just because you're a woman that, you can't serve in the military if that's what you decide to do. Just because it's a role that has predominantly been male-oriented doesn't mean that we as women can't perform that role. And so I want to tell you all to please stay encouraged.
Yes. Yes, we're here.
I'm sitting here feeling so much by your responses because we carry so much by the perception that people do hurl upon us every day. I've just come to the thought that I don't even have the time for it. And it took me a while to get to that point. I don't even have the time for it. And again, it gets back to, I think, how I was raised. My parents never let my sisters and I have an excuse. So therefore, I'm not going to let someone's opinion about me become my excuse for why I can't do what I'm set out to do. And I think it's very important to understand that if you are in the room, you're supposed to be there. I don't care what anybody has to say. You're there, you're supposed to be there. You're at the table, you're supposed to be there. You've been given the mic, you're supposed to speak there. And you don't have to qualify yourself to anyone. I've been in so many rooms where people disqualify you simply based off of appearance. But I think it's important to know, as Chairwoman Hendrickson said, your worth. I personally don't feel like I need to tell anybody how many degrees I have. I don't need to tell anybody what I've done. I just know simply by being there, I'm supposed to be there. And I think it's all of us, we're shaped differently, but just have the quiet confidence of who you are, and that will take you very far. Because one thing I can share with you that it was a mistake I made when I first started working is I thought I had to assert myself a certain way to command a certain level of respect. In about a week or two of doing this, I realized everybody else here is being themselves. Why can't I be myself? Exactly. Yes. And I started to just humble myself and learn to take whatever is for me is going to be for me. And maybe I don't assert myself as well as Joe may a couple of cubicles down there, or may not walk a certain way or have my project together a certain way, but I've learned over time to just be comfortable with the fact that I'm there and I'm there for a purpose and I'm there for a reason. And I don't need to overqualify, over-assert myself in anything. Well, overqualified, I don't need to do it. I don't need to do it, but I do it. And here's the painful reality. Sometimes you work so hard to convince yourself that you're where you need to be. But after you start convincing yourself, you realize sometimes you do have to help convince others. And if for anything for me, I've learned the only thing that I can do to convince others is my competence. If I know something, if I study it, then there's really nothing that somebody can take away from the fact of a matter. And so I am one that will research something to death. I will prepare for my meetings to death, just because I don't want someone's perception that I may not know to become a hurdle for me getting things done. And it's a weary road for us women. I'm not saying it's right. It's a weary road to have to constantly show up and feel like you have to be overqualified. Oh, and you have children too that you're taking care of.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I have two boys, and I had them when I ran for office. My kids were 1 and 3. Sometimes I felt like I walked in the room, I gave myself an applause. Nobody had to give it to me. You have to get it. Yes. But when you know what you know, they had I'm kind of dating myself. They used to have those Army commercials. People in the Army do more before 5 a.m. than people do all day. That's how I felt as a mom. So how dare you tell me what I can't do? Do you know what I did before I even walked in the room? Do you know how many other people than myself I had to get ready? So it's just, to me, I don't know. I wish I had the perfect answer. I don't. I'm loving what these women are saying, and I'm feeling so much about it. But I just think it's a great place when you learn to have confidence for yourself. Because that's what I think people try to beat out of you the most, that for some reason you can't be confident in who you are. And the only thing other than faith, thank the Lord, I thank God for everything, knowing who I am in Him. But that also has to get to my competence, because I know I've learned it. Whatever you do to learn about who you are and what you need to have at the table, let that console you that you are enough. And it'll shine through, even when other people are posturing You'll shine through.
Thank you. I think we have time for a couple more questions. Oh my goodness, but are y'all feeling good? I am. This has been so authentic and sincere. I feel it. I just feel it all through the room. So thank you so much. We're gonna switch gears just a bit and talk about your communities and what some of the things that you're doing. We know the recent census shows that a lot of your communities are changing, they're evolving, they're becoming more diverse. What are some of the ways you're addressing these changing dynamics and engaging your communities? I'll start with you, Chairwoman Hendrickson.
So Gwinnett County is the second most populous county in the state of Georgia. It is also the most diverse county in the state of Georgia. And I came into this role having served under my predecessor, Charlotte Nash, who was the former chair of the county. And she has actually laid a strong foundation of which to build from. And there were a lot of things that the county has done exceptionally well, to include things like our infrastructure, public safety, water resources. We have award-winning parks. There are things that we do exceptionally well. However, in the county's 200-year history, we have not always achieved perfection, especially when it comes to addressing some of the disparate impacts to minorities and communities of color. The pandemic has exacerbated a lot of the challenges faced by communities of color, poverty, homelessness, food insecurity. We have a large transit-dependent community. We have a large immigrant community. Of our 1 million residents, 240,000 of them are immigrants and speak a second language other than English. And English is not their primary language. So we have that barrier as well with language disparities. And so the board, the board that I've been working, my board, the two of us came in elected together with the two that were already existing. So the 5 of us have jointly developed new vision, mission, value statements that reflect the present county that we are today, that reflects inclusion, and I heard our opening speaker talk about inclusion and equity and diversity, and our new mission statement is founded on that principle that we want to ensure that everyone in our community has the opportunity to thrive, but we still want to be that premier destination because we know we are a world-class community with dynamic services. And we just received our AAA bond rating, which, for those in government and even in the school system know what a big deal that is. But we're addressing comprehensive transit reform. We just opened our first homeless shelter 2 weeks ago. Wow. We never had a homeless shelter before then. We're about to open an entrepreneurship center to encourage minority and women-owned businesses so that they have opportunities to excel and thrive in our communities. We're about to launch an equity initiative and an equity study, create a plan so that we can address policy, service delivery, programs, services, and that they're equitably distributed across our county. I came in the midst of a pandemic, and so I've had to lead an entire vaccine rollout for our county and make sure that we were addressing the communities that had a disparate impact with even accessing vaccines. So there were just a lot of challenges that having to come in and address, but having the eye, because of the lived experiences and because of the work that I've done prior to coming into office, gave me the tools and even the foresight to understand that we have to re-emphasize our focus in the areas where we lacked, in the areas where we haven't always done so well. And so my priorities have always been around making sure that we address the systemic challenges that have impacted our communities of color. And where we can do that and still continue to maintain a AAA bond rating and still be the preferred community that everyone is drawn to, whether you're a young professional or a business or a family looking to establish and establish your life and your career. So all that to say is that the challenges that I face are not immune and they're not new to any of the challenges that are faced in their counties. Our population is just different and the needs are different. And so it takes leaders who reflect those voices and those values to address the challenges of the present day.
Thank you. I'll go to Chairwoman Mills.
I'm 59. I grew up here in Forsyth County. I mean, this sounds totally unbelievable at this juncture, and the kids will get a kick out of it, but I can remember being in 4th grade at Sawney Elementary, and a young girl moved in, and her family was Catholic. And I can remember vividly saying to her, "Everybody's saying you're Catholic, but you don't look any different. What does that mean?" I mean, fast forward to 1987 or 86, maybe. My daughter was born in 87. I was at the Oprah Winfrey show when she came. I was waiting, trying to speak. I wasn't at the march, and I didn't throw anything. I want to make that clear. But I went to the Oprah show because I wanted to be able to speak and say, we're not all like this. And we're being portrayed that we're a bad county. And of course, it was the only county I ever knew, and I still love it so dearly. And I wanted to be able to say we've had country music shows that have brought in all kinds of different entertainers. We've never had one issue due to race, but I didn't get to speak because the people controlling the camera were people that were racist and that were, you know, they got a bigger story and they got more attention. But I say all that to say we're in a very unique time in Forsyth County that we have changed for the good of a lot in diversity. And I think, though, that to say that all diversity belongs in this one box and all can be treated the same way would not be doing service to all the different cultures and all the different people that move here. And it's a balancing act. I mean, even with domestic violence, when I got in office, I knew nothing about domestic violence. I mean, I didn't know the triggers with it. I didn't know that one out of 6 kids wind up trying or thinking of suicide because of living in that quietness and that secretiveness. But I didn't think about how different cultures treat domestic violence. And I remembered reaching out to our sheriff's office after several situations. I didn't understand why the Muslim community had a different shelter than the others, and until I started meeting with them and meeting with the imam and meeting with different people, and all of a sudden my limited vision became bigger and bigger and bigger and more open to understanding we've got to train our sheriff's office in how you deal with different cultures. We've got to know how different faiths do different things. You don't want to discover in the middle of a hostage situation that you've brought a female into a situation as a negotiator when that's going to be the trigger that's going to make the guy shoot his family. You know, there's things that you've got to know and you don't know, but you can learn. And, you know, I think that there is, you could put generational poverty into its own category. You could put, but when you learn about different things like addiction and you learn about that to succeed in conquering some of the negatives in your community, you can't wait until the problem is there. You need to be addressing it in grammar school. You need to be encouraging, and yes, we didn't run for school board, but I'm constantly, bless their hearts, giving input, about giving solutions. That when you find out that somebody that is in addiction can be clean 5 years and have a 20% chance of going back, but one of the things that need to be addressed at such a young age is balancing, leveling the playing field so they don't experience the trauma that will drive them to drugs later. And that might not work for everyone, but it works for some. And that, to me, is what we should be doing, is looking for ways to be creative to help our citizens be set up for success. And if we know that the triggers that are occurring are in kindergarten, then we need to get busy with doing stuff in kindergarten. And so to me, that is how you have a vibrant community, is you understand it. You understand who lives in it. And you try to bring them together. I think our One Forsyth group has really got a chance to do great things. And Andrew Young came to this very building and spoke to us and encouraged us. And I think that understanding, talking to each other instead of about each other is just huge. And it's something that we need to keep doing more and more.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm going to jump to our last question because I want to hear from each of you on this. And you were all featured in a recent magazine and were asked about your 18-year-old self. So let me give you a minute to think about your 18-year-old self. Well, today we are joined by many of our female high school future leaders that will either soon be 18 or they're already 18. And I want to take a slight twist on that idea and ask you, what words of wisdom would you share with your 18-year-old self and the future women leaders here today? Chair Pitt.
It's hard to believe it's all going to be okay. And especially hard to believe that in the midst of what you're dealing with, which is in a pandemic, and I'm supposed to talk to my 18-year-old self when we didn't have that. But it's hard to believe sometimes everything is going to be okay, and that every experience will actually be there to benefit you and to help you. And I just want to encourage you to know that for the good. Let the good encourage you, but don't let that be your barrier, because you're there to surpass your good. If the good things you've done are what you always use to buoy you into a situation, sometimes you cap yourself from even being better than that. But sometimes with our negative experiences, we allow that to hinder us, not realizing that those things can be the very thing that propels you into doing things even greater than the great things that you've done. So just you have the world ahead of you. You have so many people that care about you because you're in the room and they helped you to be here today. You're loved, you're supported, and there are great things that are already in store for you. I'm going to repeat just one thing that I've had from a mentor that I listen to often, and he shared that the seed is already in you. Like there's not something beyond you that you need to accomplish. What is meant for you is already in you. You're just spending your life discovering what that is. So the things that are already meant for you, nobody can take away from that. And this life gives you opportunity every day to add to who you are and what you are. And this life is a beautiful thing, even though sometimes it may not seem that way. And I know you guys are going to accomplish great things because you're going through great things now. And when you go through great things, it just prepares you for even better things on the other side.
Thank you. Chair Harrell.
My 18-year-old self? Oh, gosh. Yes, I'm probably the oldest one on the stage. Let me think about this here. You know, you may not know what you want to do, and that's okay. Because at 18, a lot of us didn't know what we wanted to do. But, and you may try different things, and that's okay. You know, but just be true to yourself. Amen. That's what I want to encourage each of you all, to be true to yourself. Follow your dreams, and you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish if you set your mind to it. Find that one or two people that you will be able to go and confide in, or to cry on their shoulder, or to bounce ideas off of one another. Find that one, you know, I've got a couple of friends that, you know, even in today, that I can go to, and these ladies here on the stage, we're always in communication with one another. And I guess because we all came in together, we automatically develop that bond with one another. And we're constantly texting one another, bouncing ideas off of one another. So it's good to have those types of relationships. And, you know, again, just, you know, and I think all of us up here will continue to tell you to just stay focused, don't be distracted, and whatever it is that you want to accomplish, I know that you all will be able to do it, because if you all survive this pandemic, you all can survive anything. And I wish each and every one of you all the best of luck in whatever your endeavors are.
Thank you.
My 18-year-old self, that was just 2 years ago. I'm kidding. But I will say, I am the youngest chairperson in the entire state of Georgia. So of the 159 counties, I am the youngest. I chair the second largest county in the state of Georgia. My degree is in social work. I came from humble beginnings. I did not have wealth. My parents were not wealthy. I have school-age children. Both Lisa and I have school-age children. I never ran in politics. I never ran a business. These are all of the things that people would say, you're not prepared or qualified to run for office or be in a leadership position. But I will say to you, those are all the reasons why you should consider, because we need people of all backgrounds. And so my advice to you all is to take risks. Take calculated risks, because people need you. People need young women. They need mothers. They need retirees. They need people of all backgrounds, all faiths, And it's important that with your lived experience that you excel to the top, because the more women that achieve higher status in their careers, it just normalizes the playing field. And right now, women in politics are stigmatized. You don't see us enough. You don't see women in leadership positions enough, because women are not taking those risks. And so I will tell you, to the young ladies, to please dare to dream, take those risks. You are enough. What you bring to the table is enough. You are worth it, and we need you. And just know, we all have your back.
Back in 2012, when I made the decision to run for office, I had a high school senior. I've got grandkids in elementary school. I don't have any in middle school. I'm not that old yet, but I remember my daughter saying to me, she was class president. I had been class president, but I remember her looking at me, because I was just griping and grumbling about how the person in office was doing the job so poorly, and how they should be doing this or they should be doing that. And my daughter said, well, instead of sitting there griping and grumbling about it, why don't you run for office? And she said, if you think you know how to do it and you could do better. And I said, well, what if I lose? I mean, how embarrassing would that be? And she said, it shouldn't be embarrassing. And she said, haven't you always taught me that if you believe in something, you should fight for it? And if you believe in it, you should put yourself on a line and you should not be afraid. Because if you know you can do the job better than somebody that's doing it, the only thing that's stopping you is yourself. And then if the voters don't get it right, hey, you can always say, well, they weren't that smart. I think the best advice to give to an 18-year-old is don't ever let anybody else define you.
Amen.
Don't lose who you are because of what other people say you are, or what they say you need to be, or where you need to be, or what you need to be. Because you've got to have confidence no matter what you go into. And there's a big difference between confidence and arrogance, and confidence and egomaniac type ideas, because I deal with that in politics all the time too. But you've got to have, if you don't have confidence in yourself and you let other people define who you are, you give them power over you. You give away the one thing you have, the value of yourself to yourself. And at the end of the day, it is looking in the mirror and knowing I've done all I can do to be the best that I can be, and make decisions based upon research and laws and all the other things. And I've given my employees all that I could, or I've given my family all that I could. And it's tricky, it's hard to balance, it's hard to keep it all the way it should be. But if you cave into other people's definition of you, it's so hard to get it back. And so I think always value yourself and always know who you are, and don't let anybody tear that away.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, I think my little elves are doing something for me back there. And as they are preparing, first of all, let's give these ladies another rousing. I mean, I gotta stand up. I just thank you so much. I mean, they crossed the T's and dotted the I's today. I mean, thank you all. I am so full. And so, you know, some of you may know that these 4 women made the cover of Engineering Georgia's magazine earlier this year. Yes, give it up. I am also an editorial board member of that magazine. I have been for about 5 years, and this was by far the most talked about women's edition since we even began this journey. I'm telling you. And it's still being talked about. And so, I would be remiss if I didn't just read a little plug about Engineering Georgia, but Engineering Georgia magazine is the official magazine of Georgia's engineering community with a circulation of more than 10,000 people across the state of Georgia. It's published by ACEC Georgia, the trade association that represents Georgia's engineering companies. And those companies are responsible for designing and building an infrastructure that allows us to live, work, and play. But with that said, the Forsyth County Chamber would like to honor each of these women with a framed copy of the cover. So, each one.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, ladies. I know we're gonna have some photo ops and we're gonna have some ending remarks coming up. Or you coming up, Sherelle? I don't know, y'all. I feel good. I feel like I can go home now. No more work. I just feel so inspired.
All righty, thank you again, Chairwoman, and thank you, Dr. Wilkins, for leading such an amazing discussion. I'll tell you guys, I didn't know what today was gonna be about. You know, you get busy, you get into your calendar, you're like, yep, I'll be there, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is dynamic. I should have brought my daughter. I've got a sophomore in high school, and I just wanna personally express to you guys, we live in Gwinnett, voted, absolutely. Commissioner Mills, like just hearing from you ladies was remarkable. And I think, I'm 40, so I'm not 18 anymore, but the message always lands well. And I want you guys to know that some days are good, some days are bad, you keep moving. And Commissioner Mills, her daughter says, what if you lose, but what if you win? That's what I was thinking. And so I want you guys to win and believe in yourself. It took me too long to get to this point. And you guys are getting it right. Your generation is getting it right. I look at my daughter and I'm like, girl, you got it. You are dynamic. The things that you guys think and the things that you guys say and the stuff you just don't stand for. It was different for us, and we dealt with things that we should not have. So that was not a part of today, but I just want you ladies to know how it landed on me, and I really appreciate that. Now we've got raffle prizes. Absolutely. So on your tables, blue tickets and yellow tickets. Yes, grab those. If the person sitting next to you is not here, grab theirs too. All right, so we've got 3 prizes for those of you with blue tickets. We've got 2 prizes for those of you with yellow tickets. Our first prize is a Cherry Street Brewing gift bag. All right, here we go. I never win these things, so it's interesting to be pulling. All right, ticket number 395722. No? 395722. All righty. And you guys will pick these up on the way out. I'm actually going to give you that winner. That way you can show your match. You're going to pick all of your prizes up on the way out. Our second prize is a foursome of golf at the Chambers Golf event on September 13th. All right? Female champion. Here we go. 395753. Awesome. I've got your match. 395. Third prize is a Halcyon gift basket valued at $250. If you have not been to Halcyon, my business may or may not be there. Visit. It's lots of small businesses there. $250 gift basket. 395730. All right, that's all right. Next, we've got 395757. There we are. I've got your match. You won that big old gift basket. Awesome job. Now, students, yellow tickets. All of our students, we've got 2 Visa gift cards valued at $50. Only for our students in the room. 408046. Awesome. Congratulations. That was easy. One more. 408099. Awesome. Well, congratulations. We'll pass that on. One more prize. So if you guys didn't win the raffles, I never win raffles, but this agenda on your table, this gorgeous book, in the back, look on the last page. Anybody have a gold star? Who has the gold star? I see some popping up. Yep, gold star. If your agenda book has, the program book, has a gold star, you get to take home one of these beautiful centerpieces. So grab it, take it with you on your way out. Absolutely. So thank you to all of you guys for today. Congratulations to all of the winners. And I'm going to turn it over to Chairwoman Mills for our closing remarks.
Yes. I just want to. Am I on? Yeah. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I just want to a special thank you to the ladies, the chairwomen. I know how busy you are. You drove great distance to get here, and I just appreciate so much that y'all did that. It's been such a pleasure, an honor to serve beside you, and you never quit learning. And if you do, then they're digging a hole for you somewhere. But we need to keep pressing on, and we found, the things that we share, the things that we are alike are so much greater than our division. And I think we live in a world that wants to say, you're this, and you're in this box, and you're this, and you're in this. And working together and collaborating should be inspiring, and it should be happening everywhere. And no matter what the R or the D or the color of skin or anything, that we let other people stand in the way. And I think that that's what we're trying to do. That's an important message that I don't want us to miss here today. But thank you to Laura Stewart with the Chamber. She did an enormous amount of work for this. And, yes, she did. And also, I want to thank Dr. Wilkins, but she stepped up and came to the plate and has helped so much. Anyway, thank you all for being here. And now I think you're dismissed to go. And the kids, all the young girls that are here today, they want to get a picture. So we want y'all to come up and then a picture with us as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.